The report card into the Townsville region's waterways makes for very interesting reading. It's only been released today, and it suggests that last year's once in a 500 year, I think it was deemed to be, monsoonal trough event actually had minimal impact, so far anyway, to most of the local waterways. That 2019 flood in January and February last year saw some 1.13 million metric tonnes of water discharged from the Ross River into Cleveland Bay. 1.13 million metric tonnes of water discharged. Despite that, Townsville's overall water quality across the region remains moderate to very good. We thought we'd get a sense for how that might have happened. Chair of the Dry Tropics Partnership for Healthy Waters is Di Tarte. She's with us this afternoon on ABC Radio. G'day, Di.
Hello, Adam.
Were you surprised to see a minimal impact from such a massive weather event?
Yes, we were. We're somewhat cautious with that assessment still because it is only 12 months and often there's a big lag time in environmental systems before some symptoms show, but all the hallmarks are that effectively it was a huge volume of water moving very rapidly through the system for those big 5 days in February last year. And apart from a setback for the seagrasses in Cleveland Bay and probably some impacts around the reefs around Magnetic Island, we got off pretty lightly in terms of environmental impacts. Of course, there were huge social and economic impacts for the community there, but environmentally it wasn't too bad.
It's amazing to think, given how much water actually flowed through some of those river systems, that there wasn't a shorter term impact. Longer term, could these impacts present themselves?
Well, you don't know what's actually been washed down. Our monitoring program doesn't pick up a lot of nasty contaminants. That we're not looking for that. We're looking for what are the more generic health checks that you use. So whether there's something sitting in the sediments out in Cleveland Bay that will become problematic over the years, who knows? But at the moment, the seagrass has certainly got a setback, and for anybody who's a fisherman, they'll know how important seagrass meadows are. They're still all there in a good patches, but their actual condition is a bit ordinary. So we've really got to keep an eye on whether they recover fully or whether there's a longer setback with the seagrasses. But
you were looking at waterways across the region. Were some faring much better than others?
Yeah, the waterways where we've got less development in the catchments, the upstream parts in the Black Basin further north, they're in pretty good condition, the freshwater. Interestingly, most of the estuaries, the salty bits at the bottom end of the freshwater systems, most of those are tracking pretty good in terms of what we're monitoring for. They're looking in good condition. And importantly, the offshore waters around the Great Barrier Reef, right offshore, the mid-shelf outer reef, the water quality is very good out there, and that's what we need. It's those inshore areas, the enclosed Cleveland Bay, Halifax Bay, that we see the water quality impacts.
Across the region, moderate to very good, the water quality for the Townsville region, and we're talking about a broader region here. We've got with us the chair of the Dry Tropics Partnership for Healthy Waters, Di Tarte, on Drive. The release of this report card always makes for interesting reading, and there's lots of different things we could discuss with you, but I understand that you looked at how much litter and waste were removed. What were some of the top items of waste that were removed from the river systems?
Yes. For the first time, we've actually been able to work out a means of actually scoring and including in the report card a grade in terms of how much litter has been collected. Now, this is litter collected by volunteers who do regular cleanups from the Palm Island group right around Maggie Island and down and around Townsville area. The top items aren't there were 150,000 items picked up. That's from cigarette butts right up to big things like fridges, etc. However, it's plastics and broken glass that are and cigarette butts that are the main culprits. Hard plastic pieces, broken glass, the plastic bag and film remnants, the bits and pieces of Glad wrap and soft bags, and one single-use plastic. So food packaging is also a problem. So there's a range of items that would be good not to find their way into the waterways.
We do these report cards each and every year. Aside from making for interesting reading for the public, what are they used for?
Well, all our partners have a very hard look. Our partners include Townsville City Council, Port of Townsville, a range of community groups and the research organisations, as well as the Queensland and Australian governments. And they all have a hard look at what the story is for the region and whether or not we need to be focusing our attention in particular areas. And that conversation will happen over the next 6 months, and we're looking to have a big seminar which we'll make open to the public and in sort of the latter half of this year, hopefully when COVID allows us to all get together again.
Indeed. All right. Well, really the headline for me from this report card out today, Diane, is the fact that we've fared quite well in the short term from such that significant weather event, and that's good news. That's not to say that other flood events in the future will be less impactful. We do know that big flood events can have impacts on the waterways, but good to know that specific February monsoon event last year hasn't, in the short term anyway, badly impacted the waterways. It has impacted the sea meadows, as you say.
Yep. That's correct, Adam, and you're correct that the interesting thing, the Townsville area is known as the dry tropics for good reason. That you're used to getting, the systems are used to getting a big pulse of wet occasionally, and then long periods of dry. So it's that big mix, and so perhaps what we're seeing is a system that has already accommodated itself to having the big events coming through. But that said, we really need to be careful that if and when we get another big event, that there's not too much junk getting its way through the waterways and out onto the Great Barrier Reef.
Great to pick your brain this afternoon, Diane. Thanks for joining us.
Lovely, Adam. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. That is
Bye.
Diane Tarte. Bye. She's the chair of the Dry Tropics Partnership for Healthy Waters. So we've seen the release today of the Townsville Dry Tropics report card, and in fact, report cards for a lot of our waterways in regional Queensland, and no doubt through your local ABC. If it pertains to your audience, you'll probably hear more about it tomorrow morning on your breakfast shows or in the news bulletins.